When you need a mortgage, don't stress at all. Just tune right in and give these guys.
Good morning, YouTube. Today is Tuesday, March 10th. And fellas, the trigger leads are officially gone. How are you today?
Doing well. I'm doing well. I had no complaints over the weekend for anybody getting trigger lead calls. They usually don't call on the weekends. I didn't have any yesterday. I think it might have worked. I actually think it might have worked.
Well, it's a law now, Tom, so it better have worked. Right, Anth?
I think it's great. Those spammers, get them out of there.
Well, we need to talk about what's going on because obviously we know what a trigger lead is, but maybe the average Joe doesn't know what it's called, but they've had to experience it before. So again, a trigger lead is when we would pull your credit for a pre-approval. The credit bureaus themselves were allowed to sell pieces of information about your credit pull. Now, there was no personal information, but it still said your name and that you got your credit pulled for mortgage purposes. And because our credit is coded for that specific reason, Tom, it's pretty easy to tell why you would get your credit pulled for mortgage purposes. And of course, a buyer can shop around, but boy, were those trigger lead loan officers scummy.
I don't know. I don't understand how it all worked, to be completely honest, because they had to pay massive amounts of money to get those leads. And did they actually ever convert? I mean, they must have converted on some of these people that they were calling, or else they would have stopped doing it long ago. So I think, yeah, they were tricking people for a long time. People thought that it was their loan officer they were applying with. They were getting fooled, and then they were getting bent over the rails with costs. And I think it was happening for too long, and they finally put a kibosh to it.
I mean, Anth, the worst part is when the lenders would call and pretend they worked for our company.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of amazing. You know, we'd have clients let us know, like, hey, does so-and-so work for you? They called me like 4 times yesterday, and we have to tell them, no, we don't actually have any financial affiliates that are going to be reaching out to you. But the way they handled it, I mean, either way, those trigger leads were cold calls all day long. So you've never had a relationship with those people. They just saw you applied for a mortgage, you were trying to get financing, and then next thing you know, you had 30 phone calls, within the same day. So
yeah, and that's the thing. And when we say 30 phone calls, I had a client last week right before it went into effect. He said it was 40. So imagine you go to pre-approve for a loan, get a mortgage, and then you get 40 phone calls that you never asked for.
I've had people change.
Yeah, I mean, it makes people. Yeah, literally. I mean, people have to they turn their phone off completely, and then they'll never answer your call again because they're thinking they're getting tricked. You sold their number. People just don't have a whole understanding of what was actually happening. But it was the credit bureaus selling off your information. Even after we pulled credit for $200, they had to sell it and make another $200-$300 off of your name. So the credit bureaus are the scumbags making, $500 off a person's name. I'm not afraid to speak out about it. They're all scumbags.
And it made our job so hard because, of course, any normal person thinking if Ryan just pulled my credit and I got 40 phone calls, what the hell did Ryan just do? When we had nothing to do with it, and it was awful. Thank God, the government doesn't do good things all that often, but this law being put into place, I think finally is something good, and it was years coming, and thank God that it's here.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it in my meetings over the last week at the different offices, and even the agents are excited about this because the clients were calling them. They were bothering everybody. I mean, why did Tom give out my number so all these people would call me in? Believe us, we're not giving out your number to our competitors so they could steal business. That's just not how things work in this world or the mortgage industry. But we don't have to worry about it anymore. So
Yes. So rejoice. If you're a buyer, you can shop for your mortgage. You're not going to get blown up anymore. It's not going to be a complete annoyance for a couple days. And it should make the home buying process even better because, boy, was that a rough way to start. Day one, you get a pre-approval, you start your mortgage journey, and it's an annoyance. You want to just punch yourself in the face because your phone won't stop ringing due to cold call sales calls, all because you're trying to pre-approve for a mortgage. So 2026 is only going up from here.
Yeah. And I wouldn't even pull credit at certain hours of the day because of it. It was pulling me back from doing my job at proper times because I had to.
I would also pull credit at night, hoping that that would not get a trigger to someone else to start blowing up the client there. So yeah, I agree. So definitely a big plus in the mortgage industry. And that kind of dovetails into our next topic. And for our PA realtors out there, it's page 4 of your sales contract and the little mortgage box that you got to fill out. I put up an example of one here because, frankly, guys, I see this box blank, half filled out, not filled out properly a lot of the time, which, in my estimation, you're going to leave your client up to some liability if something happens in the transaction.
Yeah, I mean, this box is everything for the mortgage. It tells exactly how they're getting their mortgage, percent down, the term, the type of loan. It has it all in there, the rate. So if that mortgage is in those confinements, it's going to be okay. I can't tell you how many times I see this box. It only has conventional or FHA loan written. It never has FHA loan. I'll take that back. It only has conventional loan written in it because they don't accept FHA loans. So conventional is all I see sometimes in this box, and it couldn't be more wrong. And you are hurting your buyer.
And the biggest one, the mortgage lender being blank or TBD, or frankly, just the wrong lender. I mean, this is part of the contract. If it's not filled out properly, that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that section solidifies the pre-approval of the lender that the offer is being submitted with. So, I mean, ultimately, if it's not filled out, how do you expect the seller to know who's financing, this loan to accept that offer? And it does matter who you work with. I mean, I've had many agents say, hey, so-and-so's an out-of-state lender is on, this agreement of sale. The listing agent doesn't feel comfortable, with that specific lender based on past experience. We need to do a second look, but you have to, if you just change that, you have to notify the listing agent because that is a change to the actual contract. So if it's, a specific lender that's listed on there, they get a second look through somebody else and you don't notify that listing agent, your buyer could be on the hook because they never got approval to change lenders based on that offer.
Absolutely. And frankly, there's some newer agents in the business that are just telling clients the wrong information about their mortgage process. There's some agents out there that are saying, hey, you got your offer accepted. You have 7 days to complete your mortgage application. Go shop for your mortgage. That is not correct. That is not correct at all. You should have already shopped for your mortgage when you got pre-approved, because if it's over 30 days from that initial credit pull, you're now putting your client at risk of getting another credit pull, lowering their credit score, convoluting the scenario, making them rush around, getting multiple pre-approvals, ordering inspections, signing their sales contract, all of this in a week when it should have been signed, sealed, and delivered for you to put the offer in. Now, I'm not saying in those 7 days, if you did shop around, you can't get final quotes, but you should be deciding who your lender is when you put the offer in, because you have to pick a mortgage lender as part of your contract. It's not to be picked after the offer gets accepted. We have work to do. The buyer may have documents to collect that they didn't get us yet. We may be meeting for the application. We may be doing a Zoom call, and putting all that on your buyer at the last minute, again, is just going to cause the scenario to be stressful for your buyer in the process to be stressful when it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, everything has a timeline. I mean, go inspection, appraisal, mortgage commitment, closing. I mean, everything has a timeline that we're working towards. So, you delay that timeline in the beginning, the back end could be delayed. A lot of times that happens if the buyer is not. There's all different types of people out there. Like, we talk about just them as buyers, but they're people. So, like, you talk to different people every single day of your life, and there are different walks of people. Some move a little faster than others. Some move a little bit slower. Some have a little bit of urgency, and some have zero urgency. So we just have to remember that we call them buyers, but they are ultimately people.
Well said, Tommy. Well said. But yes, please, if you're a realtor, we know your contract is that most important document for you guys. Just make sure that mortgage section is filled out correctly, because we don't want your clients to be at risk. Anth, send us out.
Right on.
Later, boys.
Let's rock and roll.
See you boys Friday.
See you guys.
Tom, Ryan, and